What's happening, guys? It's your girl Minna. Welcome back to my channel, man. You guys already know what it is. Big up to everyone locked in, and I'm such a disgrace. Oh my days. Guys, I am such a disgrace. I'm so sorry. I did not realize that I set up stream to start at 1:15. I thought it was set up to start at 1:30. So you lot are probably thinking Minna is 15 minutes late. And she's just going on about it like it's just normal. I am so sorry. That is a mess up on my side. You lot know I don't make mistakes often. Or do I? I don't know. But big up to everyone locked in. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. As always, Monday morning, pre-season officially starts for Manchester United. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about, from transfers, from assistant coaches, from director of recruitment, all of that kind of stuff. We have so much to talk about, so be sure to hit the like button, guys, and be sure to subscribe. Let me know how you lot are doing. Let me know how you lot are doing. We're going to do a deep dive analysis on Joshua Zirkzee as well, because it seems 99.9% likely that he will be joining Manchester United. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Likely after the Euros, as the Netherlands take on England on Wednesday in the Euros in the semi-finals. So it will likely be after the Netherlands eventually crash out or go on to win the competition. He will join Manchester United, but it's likely 99.9% done. David Ornstein coming through on the weekend with the Ornstein bomb, as some people like to call it, to confirm that United had agreed personal terms with Joshua Zirkzee and his agent, and they were set to notify Bologna about triggering his release clause. Now, we're going to talk about that, like I said, in depth. We're going to talk about Ruud van Nistelrooy arriving at Carrington nearly 20 years after leaving Manchester United, returning to Manchester United as the newest assistant coach, Erik ten Hag's second in command, yet to receive his visa, so he cannot officially start on the training pitch, but he's there, he's in the area, he's in the environment, assessing everything, as well as Rene Hacker has arrived at Manchester United today as well, as it's the 8th of July. I was about to say January. It's the 8th of July, and today's the first day of pre-season. A lot of players reported for the first day of pre-season, and some, however, only reported for a meeting and then left the site. So we're going to talk about that as well. So big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button, like I said, and be sure to subscribe. Now, let's get into it. Let's get right into it. Here it is. Here's Ruud van Nistelrooy arriving at Carrington, dripped out. I don't see many pictures of Rene Hacker. Him and Rene Hacker did arrive, by the way, together to Carrington. However, he did arrive to England by himself, set to be Erik ten Hag's assistant coach, the preferred option for Ineos. This is Ineos's man that they've essentially brought in. Ineos have brought in their guy to be an assistant coach to Erik ten Hag, and Rene Hacker is Erik ten Hag's preference, his choice. What does that mean? It means Virgil van der Gaag is likely to leave, Benny McCarthy likely to leave, Steve McLaren is expected to stay in a different or a reduced role, less hands-on in comparison to his role for the last 2 years, and Darren Fletcher is set to have his role reduced as well, or reassessed, to understand what it is that he's contributing to the first team. But like I said on a stream a couple of weeks ago, this is the Dutch free. It's the big free that's going to be sitting in the dugout starting from next week, I think, when United play their first pre-season game. I think it's very interesting regarding, you know, the return of Ruud van Nistelrooy. I'm calling it Ruud returns because essentially it's his return since leaving the club nearly 20 years ago after his little fallout with Sir Alex Ferguson. This time he returns as a coach, having had previous stints through PSV's academy and then in their first team. And his similar, I think, football philosophy, there's a lot of similarities between what Erik ten Hag wants to implement, the way that Ineos want to play, and what Ruud van Nistelrooy has been able to do. He's been able to work with young talent. He's been able to work with, you know, forwards. He's been able to bring through players from the academy. So he kind of ticks a lot of boxes for Ineos. And as we discussed last week, obviously Erik ten Hag has signed his 1-year extension on his contract, meaning he's got 2 years. Ruud van Nistelrooy is there as assistant coach for 2 years. What does that suggest? It could suggest maybe that he's the successor. He's the one that's going to come in and replace Erik ten Hag. Two years to kind of get up to speed with the situation at Manchester United. He knows the club, and he's able to be that Ineos guy. It was kind of suggested months ago, before Ineos actually started their review of Erik ten Hag's situation, that they wanted to bring in an assistant coach of their own, and they've done that exactly with Ruud van Nistelrooy. Am I excited? Yes, it looks like it's a new dawn. I know a lot of people kind of feel a bit are kind of questioning the idea of, so many Dutch people, but I don't think nationality matters, guys. Genuinely, I don't know why people are so focused on nationality. It's just maybe a coincidence that Ruud van Nistelrooy is Dutch. I think his appointment is more so to do with the fact that he ticks the boxes from a footballing philosophy perspective, but also he ticks the boxes of the fact that he knows the club, he knows the league, can speak multiple languages. He's got experience of working with young developing players, and we're going to come to that when we talk about, the players that United are linked to, and Joshua Zirkzee being another. I would say it's another gamble similar to Rasmus Højlund. He's only scored 15 goals once in his career, but working under someone like Ruud van Nistelrooy, he might be able to, flourish under that. He might be able to flourish under that. If Manchester United return and go for Jared Brandtwaite again, Ruud van Nistelrooy has worked with him. So it's very interesting to see. And the more I read about René Hacker, because I'm not going to lie, guys, I didn't know much about him until United were kind of linked to a move for him. The more I read about him, the more that I do realize that his philosophy does seem to link to quite a lot to do with, the way Erik ten Hag likes to play and the way that Ruud van Nistelrooy has proven to play. So I think what they've done, what Ineos have essentially done, is get people together who share the same philosophy, that share the same incentives, that share the same mindset when it comes to football. And they're trying to implement and create something that will work on a permanent basis. Now, big up to United People's TV, one of my favorite channels on YouTube, for this picture, because this is, I guess, the main situation at Manchester United right now. This is the main environment at Manchester United as of right now. Erik ten Hag, manager. So Dave Brailsford, the people's person, if you want to call it that. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he's the guy. He's the Ineos guy behind everything. Now, Erik ten Hag will not be reporting into these two directly. He won't be reporting into these two directly. If you remember a couple of days ago, we went through the kind of breakdown of the hierarchy at Manchester United. He will be reporting straight directly into Jason Wilcox and Dan Ashworth. Of course, there's other people coming through that we're going to come and talk about, director of global recruitment, if you want to call it that, who will be reporting to Dan Ashworth. These two guys behind Erik ten Hag, they're not going to get their fingers dirty often. They're not going to be involved in a lot of stuff. They'll essentially be there just to okay the final decisions. But they have put in football people to make football decisions, and that's how it should be. So many people keep saying, oh, why are United fans so hyped up about the idea of a director of football this and a technical director here and a CEO? Because United have not had that for a long time. For a long time, United have not had that. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe came in, and one of his first kind of public interviews that he did, he said, in order to see success on the pitch, they need to make the changes behind the scenes. You need to change the mindset of, you can't change the mindset of people, you need to change the environment. What has he done through that? Implemented a CEO that will be set to start next week. Brought in, Dan Ashworth after a long kind of showdown between Newcastle and Manchester United. Brought in Jason Wilcox. Now brought in Christopher Vivell. Made a decision on Erik ten Hag for the foreseeable future. Might not be the longevity, but it's definitely for the next 2 years. You know who the manager is. They made the decision of bringing in the assistant coach that they wanted, the assistant coach that they felt like would best represent what Ineos want. And then they let Erik ten Hag bring in his own assistant coach. It's not a dictatorship. They seem to be working together on stuff. And Erik ten Hag warned us months ago. He said, when there was kind of speculation about his job, speculation about his future, he said he was preparing for next season. He's spoken with Ineos. He knows he's the guy to kind of be here next season. It was March, April, and he was talking about how he was already making his preps for next season. What have they done now? They've allowed him to be involved in the transfer strategies. Today there was reportedly a meeting at Carrington regarding the transfer window. They've allowed him to directly contact the people that he wanted, the Zirkzees, the De Ligts. He's spoken to them multiple times. Of course, he's got that relationship with De Ligt from Ajax, but also he's reaching out to players to kind of sell them the project, make them feel like they're wanted. Erik ten Hag is not being used, I would say, as a kind of a pawn in this situation. He is as much involved in everything that's happening at Man United as much as the next guys, as much as the Baradas and the Ashworths, etc. It's as much his project as it is everybody else's. And I think that's where the questions kind of lied for the last couple months, where if Ineos were to come in and bring in their own people, what would that mean for Erik ten Hag? Would he be told to sit on a back burner? Would he be told to take a back burner and not be heavily involved in stuff? Would he be told, just focus on the coaching? No, they've allowed him to make the decisions. And we're going to come to that when we talk about Amad Diallo. But that's just a quick update on what is happening from a managerial perspective for Manchester United. Like I mentioned, today is the first day of pre-season. If you go on Manchester United socials, they've posted a ton of pictures of people reporting for the first day of pre-season. If you want to see who's there right now, who is not there is anybody that has just been knocked out of the Euros, out of anyone that's been knocked out of Copa America. But everybody else has been reporting for training, and anyone that obviously is still in the Euros and still in Copa America. Who is that? Palestri, Lisandro Martinez, Garnacho, Luke Shaw, Kobbie Mainoo. The 5 of them have not reported for pre-season yet, nor has Bruno Fernandes, nor has Diogo Dalot. Portugal only got knocked out a couple of days ago, so they won't be expected to report. But who reported? Andre Onana was there, Casemiro was there. People whose futures have a question mark against it, all reporting for training. Who else reported? Marcus Rashford reported for training. Mason Mount reported for pre-season. Anthony reported for pre-season. Harry Maguire, who didn't go to the Euros with England, reported for pre-season training. Another guy that reported for pre-season but not for training is this guy right here. Mason Greenwood reported for pre-season today, not for training, not for anything. He reported for a meeting at Carrington with senior members of staff at Manchester United, and that was it. That was the only thing that he reported. My smile vanished when I saw Anthony. Yeah, I saw a lot of people online were not happy with Anthony reporting for training, but I don't know what they kind of expected. But reported today by David Ornstein, the GOAT. He reported that Mason Greenwood did report to Manchester United's training ground for pre-season. However, it was to continue talks over his exit from Manchester United. Greenwood met with members of the club's football leadership team, so no names in particular, and held constructive dialogue about his career elsewhere. So it's expected that he will be leaving. He arrived at Carrington base today and left following a brief discussion. There was and is no expectation of Mason Greenwood training with Manchester United. They are essentially working on amicable terms to find the best situation to allow him to leave. Now, since that was kind of shared, there's quite a few clubs that are in for Mason Greenwood, quite a few clubs interested in him, including Lazio, and it's reported that Marseille are in pole position. So as of right now, when I'm talking right now, it is reported that Marseille are in pole position to sign Mason Greenwood. Now, what is it exactly? What's the deal that United are kind of holding out for? Now, we spoke about this a couple of days where I asked you guys a couple of days ago whether you'd want a big fee up front or would you take a smaller fee with a bigger sell-on clause. It's now expected that Manchester United are open to a loan with an obligation to buy, not an option to buy, but an obligation to buy with a large sell-on clause including. Talks are underway between Manchester United and Marseille. Greenwood is Marseille's preferred location. Of course, he was on loan at Getafe this season. It is his preference to go to Marseille. Marseille themselves are in the middle of bringing in quite a few players as well as having people leave. And obviously, today was the first day for Roberto De Zerbi's career at Marseille. So this is one to kind of keep an eye on when it comes to potential outgoings. Like I said, at the beginning, well, way before the transfer window started, I said I expect that Mason Greenwood will probably be the first person out of the door for Manchester United. I would have anticipated that it was a lot sooner than what it is right now, especially with, you know, pre-season already arriving. But he is one of two players that I expected not to be here by the time that pre-season started. The second player that I expected not to be here was Jadon Sancho. However, he is still at Manchester United. There's no information that I've seen so far, no pictures, no articles suggesting that he didn't report for training today, for pre-season today, for pre-season training. However, I haven't seen anything posted from Manchester United to suggest that he did arrive. And they posted a lot of pictures of people, videos. You see Erik ten Hag walking in, etc., etc., but nothing on Jadon Sancho. I assume that he definitely did report for training, but he's probably just similar to Mason Greenwood. He's not there to actually train. He's probably just there for formalities. Now, regarding this, funnily enough, I spoke about this a couple of days about a hear me out moment regarding a switch. Chiesa for Sancho. Reportedly, Juve did offer Manchester United Federico Chiesa in a swap deal for Jadon Sancho, but Manchester United are not. They're not interested in that. Jadon Sancho reportedly today, coming straight out of Italy, by the way, is reported that Jadon Sancho rejected an important offer this morning because he is waiting for Juve. Juve is his preferred situation, is his preferred club, and he's just probably similar to Mason Greenwood and Marseille. He's hoping that the two clubs can come to an agreement. Now, I think kind of offloading Jadon Sancho will be a bit more difficult than offloading Mason Greenwood just because of the wages that he comes with. But I also do think that the couple of months that he was at Dortmund, it wasn't enough to kind of rebrand himself for what has happened over the last year or two at Manchester United, but it was definitely enough to show potential clubs what it is you're getting with him. So again, this is one that we'll kind of keep an eye on over the next couple of days. I think the preference for Manchester United, and it was reported last week, the preference for them was that Mason Greenwood and Jadon Sancho both do not report for training on the 8th of July. Simple as that. There's no future for neither of them in the club right now. There's no plans to kind of integrate them into the club, and in particular with Jadon Sancho. With Erik ten Hag staying, I think the club are moving down that preferred position to kind of sell him, which is kind of understandable. They will take a big loss on what they brought him for, but it's a lesson for both of them to learn. Now, let's talk about incomings. These pictures, guys, how beautiful, very beautiful pictures, just because of the quality, not because of they're in Manchester United shirts. I just like the quality of the pictures. But this has been the biggest news, I would say, over the last week or two. Matthias de Ligt to Manchester United is not far off. Joshua Zirkzee is near enough finished. Now, for me, guys, I tweeted it earlier today to ask everybody their opinions. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can. My socials are right. It's that way. My socials are right. Am I pointing the right way? Because it's you lot know where I'm pointing at. My socials are right there, guys. My socials are right there. It's right there. So you can follow me on Twitter there. I said, guys, 34 million for Zirkzee, 38 million for Matthias de Ligt. That is the same price that Everton are holding out for Jared Branthwaite. Is that good business from Manchester United? Is that good negotiations and good business? Of course, one of them is a release clause. Just so happens that the release clause is only 34 million, but 38 million for Matthias de Ligt. And we're going to come to that in detail because that is a situation. Not much has changed over the last couple of days. He has agreed personal terms with Manchester United. Personal terms is not going to be an issue. He will take a pay cut. It's just a matter of agreeing a fee between the two clubs. And Bayern Munich are trying to move as quick as possible. As soon as they sell de Ligt, they're going for Jonathan Tah at Bayer Leverkusen. They've just announced 2 signings, including Elise. They're in a true rebuild, and their rebuild is that is a serious rebuild, can I just say? But personal terms not going to be an issue. Fees between the two are, Bayern Munich want 50 million euros. That's about 43 million pounds. Manchester United are willing to give up to 38 million. So it's just a matter of agreeing it. Now, I said this time and time again, I did not think that Matthias de Ligt was ever Manchester United's first preference centre-back. I always said that. I said, if United cannot get Branthwaite and they can't get to Devo, I understand them getting Matthijs de Ligt. But it's also suggested that he is not the only centre-back expected to come into the club. He is not the only centre-back. Manchester United's goal is to sign 2 centre-backs, one kind of like rotational one, which we saw with Tosin Adarabioyo when they were targeting him, that kind of rotational one, and then one to partner Lisandro Martinez. It seems like Matthijs de Ligt will be that partner. It's also reported that Manchester United have not given up hope on Lenny Yoro, who kind of has his heart set on Real Madrid and has agreed personal terms with Real Madrid, and they've not given up on possibly returning to sign Jared Brantwaite if Everton are happy to negotiate, which is not necessarily always the case. But Joshua Zirkzee, he needs to drop his hair care routine. I saw him come on for the Netherlands the other day. Bro is tall. I did not think, I don't know what it is, but I think it's just his athleticism that from the clips that I've watched and the footage that I've watched of him, I just didn't think due to his athleticism that he was that tall. I did not think he was that tall, but he is 6'4", and I know so many people are kind of skeptical on the idea of a young player. They're calling him a unicorn. That's what they call him. They say Joshua Zirkzee's striker-like skill set is somewhat of a unicorn. That's very interesting. Why do they say that? Well, he's 6'4", 23 years old, and he is a very athletic player, both in stature and in physicality. He's been playing in that kind of front line for Bologna. And I watched a very good video. If you don't want to watch it, I'll probably link it in the video, but just go United People's TV. Sam did a very good video kind of breaking down where he's come from and what he's kind of done over the last couple of years. And especially because, you know, his time at Bayern Munich didn't really work out. He went out on loan. I can't remember where he went on loan to, where Parma, I think it was, where it didn't work out. And then at Bologna is where he was dropped for Arnautovic and then returned back and kind of took his opportunity by the neck. But why did they call him a unicorn? It's very interesting. I'm really curious to know why they call him a unicorn, by the way. He's got a good technical ability. Leading the front line, I think he's going to be the chosen one, you know, guys. I think he's going to be the chosen one. I think Rasmus Højlund's going to go on a back burner. Rasmus Højlund's going to be the one to come off the bench. I just think from the way in which he plays, and we're going to kind of assess some stuff. We're going to look at some data. You lot know I love data. We're going to look at the data. I feel like he is going to be the preferred choice for Erik ten Hag. Big up to Jarvis, actually mentions it here, saying it's clear Zirkzee will fit the Haller role from Ajax, Ten Hag's second Ajax team. But Manchester United, I think he will be the first person to come through the door. Now, his preference was always to play in a partnership. And when Thiago Motta came through to Bologna, he told him, "You are going to be my number 9. You're not playing with a second option. You're not playing as a second striker. You're not playing with 2 up top. You are going to play strictly." Why do people keep messaging me? Oh shit, guys! You know, but I need to learn how to put my phone on like no notifications. Otherwise, I get distracted and I look at my phone every time I'm streaming. But Thiago Motta told him, "I'm going to make you into a number 9." And essentially, that's what he's tried to do. In an interview, Thiago Motta said that he liked, I'm speaking about Zirkzee, his idols were 2 very interesting players. 2 very, very interesting players. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who was trying to sign him at AC Milan recently as a consultant, and Gabriel Batistuta. If you some people might be too young to know about Batistuta, but if you know, you know. If you know, you know. Now, he's been developing over his last 2 years at Bologna under Thiago Motta. And because of that, Bologna have also been able to thrive, making Champions League football, etc., etc. Now, for a player of his height and his stature and his physical ability, I think it's the fact that he's so good dribbling. I'm not going to lie. Some strikers, when they're tall, when they're physical, when they're strong, they look a bit clunky. They look a bit clunky. He doesn't look clunky on the ball. We're going to look at how he likes to receive the ball, because that, I think, is the most important part. When you're playing as a number 9, especially for Manchester United, it will kind of give us a kind of oversight. Let's go into it, actually. Let's go into it. It'll give us an oversight into what United can kind of expect from him. Now, like I said, still young, similar to Rasmus Højlund. Never really hit 20, 30 goals in all comps when Manchester United approached to buy him. However, I think the ceiling for Zirkzee is quite high in comparison to, you know, Rasmus Højlund when United brought him. I think that was just a big risk that they took. Now, 11 goals in the league, that's not bad. I think he also got a young player of Serie A last season. 11 goals in his first real season playing up top as the main guy for Thiago Motta. 4 assists, 11 big chances created, decent number of take-ons, possession 1 in final third. That's the one that sticks out for me. And that's why, similar to what Jarvis said, I think he will lead the front line for Manchester United, because possession 1 in final third, he was ranked 2nd in the league for Bologna. Now, his biggest skill set or strong suit, if you want to say that, is his ability to press. You know, the striker is always the first defender in a team. He's always the first striker in a team. He's the first defender, sorry. The striker is the first defender in a team. And his ability to press the back line and actually be successful in that press is something that Erik ten Hag has been wanting from strikers for so long. Rasmus Højlund last season, the year before that, whoever was playing up top, etc. For me, Rasmus Højlund has not been successful as being that first man in a press. There's one thing physically being there, but to actually succeed in getting possession, that's kind of like that's a different conversation. And Rasmus Højlund, far so much, and I'm sure you lot will agree with me, when he does press, he just chases the ball. He chases the ball. I think Joshua Zirkzee is a bit more calculated in the way that he does that. And we're going to kind of look at it. Where is it? Oh, I thought I had a chart here somewhere, but I don't. Oh yeah, we have a chart here to look at how Joshua Zirkzee compares to all of the strikers in Europe's top 5 leagues last season. Of course, he's not going to be ranked the highest when it comes to goals, and this is why I say, is this a risk that is worth Manchester United taking? Because I think when you're taking a risk, you're taking into consideration a lot of stuff. United were struggling to score last year from their front line. There was a point, I think, in the season where Man United's front line had 2 or 3 goals at some point during the season. United need goals, but equally, the players behind the forward line are going to have to create. They're going to have to create. Also, players will need to create for themselves. When Rasmus Højlund hit the ground running in the Champions League, some of them chances were coming from goals that he created for himself. Most of the time, that's how it was. Big up to Jarvis in the chat. Kierwin says, because he does the press alone, they have to press as a team or else it's senseless. That is true. You think we'll get a here we go tonight? I don't know if you'll get a here we go tonight. I think maybe maybe tomorrow before the Netherlands game, or if Netherlands crash out, then we'll get it on Thursday. But I think it's a done deal. It's just a matter of, once the deal is done between the two clubs, arranging the medicals, all of that kind of stuff, I think it might be better for them to just kind of wait until the Netherlands leave the Euros, which there's no certainty they're going to leave the Euros because they got England. So there's no certainty. I believe it's even a possibility to play 2 strikers with the style Zirkzee plays. He has a lot of 10 vibes to his game. His preference is to play with a striker partner. That is his preference. preference. And when we look at, where he kind of succeeds, I understand it's not the goals. I understand it might not be the assists, but it's things that relate to the strong suits that he has. Things that are related to things such as dribbling, take-ons, ability to maintain possession, pressing, etc. Possession 1 in the final third, like I said, he ranks 2nd in Serie A, and he ranks quite high in Europe. Take-ons attempted, one of the highest in Europe. He was a big part of Bologna's Champions League quest, very important part, where he takes his shots. Majority of his shots are coming from, even though his conversion rate, I would say, is not the best. His conversion rate is not the best. It's still shows that it's a wide range of. One thing I don't like, guys, and maybe I'm different, maybe this is where some people's opinions might differ. I don't like strikers that try to get past the ball into the goal, essentially. I don't like that. You see an opportunity, I'd rather you take the risk and take a shot if the chance opens up for you, or lay someone off. Now, looking at this Zirkzee is not scared to shoot from anywhere. And when I've watched quite a few videos of like analysis of him, a lot of his not criticisms, a lot of his praises come from his physicality, his athleticism, but also the power that he generates in his shots. I truly think this guy will be a better option up top if he's a lone striker than Rasmus Højlund. And it's unfortunate for Rasmus Højlund because I think with the price tag that he comes with, 72 million shouldn't be sitting on the bench, shouldn't be a bench option, shouldn't be an alternative option. Now, I know a lot of people also feel like Manchester United should go down the route of a more experienced striker, because between the two of them, between Zirkzee last season and Højlund last season, they've got about 20-something goals between them. United need goals in that striker line, but also they equally need people that will create those chances for them. How will Zirkzee and Højlund fit playing with Garnacho, playing with Marcus Rashford? I'm very interested to see that. I think Zirkzee's link-up play will actually allow people like Garnacho and Marcus Rashford to run into space behind and try, get Bruno or someone to find them off a run. Now, looking at Zirkzee's runs for Bologna, shout out to The Athletic for this. This is if you look, I hope you lot can see it, by the way. I hope you lot can see it. This is very interesting because I will say the 4 main runs that he makes is either running in behind, he's ahead of the ball, running in behind. He comes short, I would say it says 19% of the time. 20% of the time he's running in behind. And about 17% of the time it's off the back of a cross. That's the kind of ways that he gets the ball. That is the main. So that means he comes short. He'll come receive the ball. He'll make runs in behind. He is able, because of his stature and his height and his physicality, they are able to use him as a target man in the box. Now, compare that to Rasmus Højlund, who we knew was not good at being a target man, header kind of person option in the box. Joshua Zirkzee, because of his height, allows that. There's basically an ample of alternatives to link up with him. For me, I think when you look at Rasmus Højlund over the last year, we can clearly identify his biggest strengths when it comes to having the ball. His back-to-goal play is not the best, but when he gets that split second of confidence to run at a guy with the ball, he can do that. But when he's got his back to goal and he's being forced to kind of find space against the centre-back, we've seen that he can't do that. So I think Zirkzee, and that's another reason why I'm saying that I think Zirkzee will be that option for Manchester United and for Erik ten Hag. Now, Manchester United have also, by the way, obviously, guys, they've signed this guy. They've brought this guy in. Yes, he's going to be the assistant coach, but he's also probably going to work with the strikers regularly. Benny McCarthy is leaving, or is set to leave, or is expected to leave. So there's no more striker coach or set piece coach, etc. Ruud van Nistelrooy will be able to work with these players, these young players, to kind of get the best out of them and to develop them. And it seems like when Manchester United have been looking at players to sign and options to sign, the reason why they brought in Christopher Vivell, and we're going to get to that point as well, is that it's because of his ability to identify players that match to the system that the club is building, and also identify players that can develop into the system that they're building. Simple as that. We're going to kind of come to that as well. But I'm not too worried. I'm not too worried about Zirkzee personally. I know other people are. I know some people are worried about the idea of signing another young and upcoming player that they've not really got 20 or 30 goals to stand on as evidence. having 15 goals, 16 goals, 11 goals, etc. That is a risk. That is a risk, but there is no reason to say that the risk won't pay off, and the risk is not less with someone like Zirkzee because of the price tag. And I think it's not a situation that United have spent months chasing. It's not like De Jong, where United spent weeks and weeks and weeks on it before they remembered that they still haven't brought in anybody else and they had to move on from the idea of Frankie De Jong. It's not that kind of situation. For me, I would have liked the idea of Ivan Toney. I would have liked it, but equally, I can get behind the idea of Joshua Zirkzee. I can absolutely get behind it because he ticks all the main boxes, and it kind of suits, it kind of matches up and suits the philosophy that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has kind of reiterated a few times about not signing the best player at that time, but rather signing the person that has the potential to be the best player. And if Sir Jim Ratcliffe went against his word and United went against that word, then we would question everything else they would say, right? We would question everything else they say, because we would say, oh, but you said this and you did the complete opposite. So right now it seems like they're sticking to their word and they're trying to find those young talents that are able to do that. Let me see what the chat is saying. Most importantly, we didn't pay like we did for Højlund, which clearly shows a difference when there is a structure. 100%. Umar Barada said it in an interview before he joined Manchester United. So Jim Ratcliffe even has said it multiple times. United are past the point in their lifespan of being held hostage for transfer fees. If the transfer fee is not right and they don't feel like it's what they value it at, they will walk away from it. And they've shown that they're able to walk away from it. They've walked away from Jared Braithwaite and said, you know what, let's reassess our options and maybe come back to this if Everton are willing to negotiate. But there is no way, and that's why I always say with Jared Braithwaite, I feel the same way. If Everton are not willing to negotiate, then walk away from it. There are other players you can find out there on the market. 72 million for Jared Braithwaite or 72 million for two players combined. Possibly 100 and something million if we throw in Ugarte, which we're going to talk about as well, because that is still, it's not really as advanced as these two. So I haven't spent too much time on it. Both Zirkzee and Højlund still have zero experience at the highest level. I don't know. I have a bad feeling. Jarvis says that we saw at the end of season that Højlund was a brilliant impact player from the bench. That alone could give us 8-10 extra points throughout the season. 100%. I think it's also, like, I even said that I would take a Füllkrug as a third option off the bench. I even said that. I don't know if Füllkrug is happy with being a bench option right now in his career. Obviously, Dortmund have just brought Guirassy as well, so his time is kind of threatened. But I think Man United need to find as many kind of different options when it comes to different styles and different profiles, and have those options available on the bench. That's essentially, I think, what you need. Right now, we've got Rasmus Højlund. We will hopefully have Joshua Zirkzee, and I think United will need a third option off the bench as a striker, maybe just as that Weghorst kind of guy. Not what Weghorst did, but I'm saying Weghorst as in that target man, just having a target option where, you know, where you're chasing a goal and you just have to throw everything at them, dash a Füllkrug off on the pitch with Højlund, with Zirkzee, and you will somehow find the end of a player there. Like it will happen. It will happen. So I do think United have to sign another striker for a cheaper option, for an alternative profile off the bench, but it's not a main priority. For me, that is not a main priority. Getting Zirkzee through the door, getting Matthijs de Ligt through the door, then getting an Ugarte or getting Fofana, maybe another centre-back as well, and then finding a left-back. There are bigger priorities, as well as also offloading players, because it seems like the biggest issue with United right now is not their ability to talk and meet with other clubs, it's their ability to offload players. But big up to everyone, man. Be sure to hit the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe. Let's see where we are on the likes. All right, cool. We're not too far off from 100 likes, guys. Let's try and get the stream to 100 likes, man. You know, it really helps the algorithm. It really helps to push the content. If you are enjoying the content and you want to join the Minions gang, if you want to join the membership club, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis. We got hella emojis, by the way. So make sure you lot use them. But you get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content. Of course, you get to support the growth of the channel. If you want to support the channel in alternative ways and other ways, you can by sending in super chats with your comments, with your questions. If you just want to show some appreciation for the daily content, you can do that as well. And if you want to do something that's free, just hit the like button, subscribe, share with a friend. You know, any friends you got that are United fans, etc., etc. just share with them. Just share with them. You guys know what it is. But just a quick update on the situation with Matthijs de Ligt and Joshua Zirkzee. Erik ten Hag has reportedly been heavily involved in these transfers as expected and has been in direct contact with Zirkzee and de Ligt. The Manchester United manager presented the project and his plans to the players as he wants both of them, with Zirkzee set to join and Matthijs de Ligt is close to joining. So I think Zirkzee will be the here we go that we get first out of the two of them, and then Matthijs de Ligt will probably follow suit maybe a week or so later. Of course, like I said, it makes it easier with Zirkzee because he's just got a release clause. That's very simple. But apparently his release clause includes a clause where it has to be paid 100% in cash up front, which Manchester United are considering whether to bid 34 million with, you know, a payment structure, just because of cash flow purposes. So I think maybe that's what's maybe holding up the here we go. Maybe that's what's holding up the here we go. But that is the latest that we have on the two of them. Like I said, when there is news about Zirkzee, I will be live, or I'll do a short, I'll do a Instagram reel, I'll do a TikTok. Make sure you follow. Am I pointing the right way? I am. Right there is all my socials. That's my Twitter, that's my Instagram, that's my TikTok. Make sure you guys go and follow, so anytime I post, because you know I'm not always active on YouTube. I'm active on YouTube like once a day, twice a day sometimes, but I'm active on Twitter, I'm active on Instagram, and I'm trying to be a bit more active on TikTok. So when we get that here we go for Joshua Zirkzee, I will definitely make a short little 50-second 1-minute clip about it. Another player that Manchester United have been obviously linked to, this is dependent, I think, on the departure of Casemiro. There's no departure in sight for Casemiro, as he reported today to pre-season training as expected. But there has been interest for Casemiro from Saudi Arabia since April. The interest has been there. I've spoken to people myself linked to the Saudi league, and the interest has been there. The talks have been there. I think the wages is what is in negotiation. And then once they feel like the player is happy with coming to Saudi, they will approach United directly. Now that I think relies on, if United sign Ugarte, that relies on the departure of Casemiro, because United probably hope to get 30 to 40 million, maybe. They probably hope to get 50 million for Casemiro. I don't think that will happen, but I think they might hope to get that for him. Manchester United now are reportedly pushing to sign Manuel Ugarte after de Ligt and Zirkzee is done. PSG want 50 million. They want 50 million. United think a price within the region of 35 million is a lot more realistic, and the two teams will likely meet in the middle, where Bayern are happy to negotiate. So I don't think PSG are happy to negotiate. So I don't think the 50 million is set in stone. Of course, that is what exactly they paid to Sporting for Ugarte. 50 million pounds, guys. 50 million pounds. They spent, I think it was 52 million euros on him. So that would just be slightly above what they paid for, but you know, inflation, all of that kind of stuff. And United are thinking about more within the region of 35 million pounds. Now that's why I said the idea of signing Ugarte, de Ligt and Zirkzee for 110 million pounds possibly, that would be very good business. But you see, the problem is that I'm applauding something that should be the basic stuff. But because United's transfers scheme and their strategy has been so bad for so long, this is what we are applauding. We are applauding deals like 34 million for Zirkzee, 38 million for de Ligt, 35 million potentially for Ugarte. We're praising that kind of stuff. Now, I'm going to actually come to it, because also the situation of selling players as well is equally another problem that Manchester United have, and they will kind of continue to have that issue as well until they find some profitable players to kind of offload. But this is one that we'll keep an eye on. The reason why I say that is because United have been linked to other players. They've been linked to people like Yusuf Fofana, 25 million. They were linked a while back to Kefren Turam, who is now going to Juve. But even now, they wouldn't have been able to buy him because he was at Nice. So this is one that potentially could be the one to kind of keep an eye on. I think this is the one to kind of keep an eye on. And the guy that's kind of leading all of this and leading this recruitment phase or change of phase that Manchester United are going through right now is Christopher Vivell. Now, who is Christopher Vivell? United, it just came out randomly. David Ornstein last week saying Manchester United are set to appoint Christopher Vivell on a consultancy basis or a temporary basis to work with them over the next 3 or so transfer windows in the hopes of permanently appointing him at a later date. Now, he is the latest high profile executive that has been added to Manchester United's team. This is alongside Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox, etc., etc. Formerly, and we spoke about it, by the way, what he's been responsible for in the past at Salzburg, at Leipzig, at Chelsea, where he was also there on a short-term basis. But Ineos have essentially looked to rebrand the executives at Manchester United and do what? Put the footballing people in footballing places. No more bankers, no more accountants. No disrespect if you're a banker or you're an accountant, but no bankers. No bankers, no accountants. Qualified people in qualified places when it comes to the footballing positions. Now, Christopher Vivell will report in directly to Dan Ashworth, who has started his role at Manchester United last week, and his plan is, or his role is, to recommend the best talent in the world to Manchester United for the first team. So he's working for the first team. He's not working for the women's team, but he's also responsible to identify younger players that can fit into Manchester United's development plan, i.e. Man United. Over the last couple of years, you've seen they brought in Ahmad, they brought in Garnacho, Hannibal, they brought in Palestri, they brought in Alvaro Fernandez. They've identified young players in other academies that could come through to Manchester United's pathway development plan and to their first team. Now, this guy, by the way, guys, is young. He's 37. He's 37 years old with over 10 years of experience in the football world. Now, his most recent role, of course, was at Chelsea as an advisor and also as a technical director. But his biggest success, like I said in the past, has come from roles at Salzburg and at RB Leipzig. He also brought through players like Erling Haaland, Benjamin Sesko, Upamecano, Karim Adeyemi, etc., etc. Now, he also was recommended by Ralf Rangnick when Ralf Rangnick was at Manchester United. He was recommended because he joined RB Leipzig and he also worked alongside Ralf Rangnick when Ralf Rangnick was the director of football, I think, for Red Bull Group. He worked within the same club or the same atmosphere as him. So they were two people that were very familiar with each other. Now, his track record in Europe, like I said, it speaks for itself. And his most recent experience, like I said, at Chelsea was for deals like this. Didn't work out for Chelsea, of course, but you see where he's able to kind of get stuck in and be able to make a big difference. And I think for United, for a club that have not had this in place for a long, long time, you will definitely, Man United will reap the benefits a lot more sooner probably than if it was any other club. But just on that note, before we get into any more transfer news, let's talk about this guy here. Donny Van de Beek. Donny Van de Beek. What's this here? Manchester United and Arsenal are on high alert as Mark Gahey has no intentions of signing a new deal at Crystal Palace. I mean, it could be his way. It could be his way of getting a new deal. It could potentially be his way of getting a new deal, but also, can I say, they are not going to sell him for anything less than 60 million. I think Crystal Palace will be happy to lose him on a free than they would be to kind of short sell him. I genuinely think that. I genuinely think that. So I will continue to keep an eye on that. Of course, I don't think anything's going to heat up until after the Euros. But we'll definitely keep an eye on that. But this is the news, guys, that I couldn't believe when I was reading it over the weekend. I genuinely thought that there was an error somewhere on the article that I was reading. I genuinely thought there was an error. I thought maybe the article I'm reading, they missed a zero or something. Because I get the notification on my phone, Donny Van de Beek set to join Girona. Fees agreed, whatever. So I click on the article and it said 500k. I said, this is a joke. For me, I don't rate Donny Van de Beek like that. I don't rate him, but even I think he's worth more than 500k. Even I think. Now, of course, there's add-ons, there's a sell-on clause, there's a lot of other stuff in there, but Manchester United and Girona agreed terms for Donny Van de Beek, set to join Girona for 500,000 euros. Let me repeat that price tag. 500,000 euros. With a total of add-ons and other stuff that bring the package up to 20 million. And of that 20 million, 5 million is a reasonable achievement. So I think the 5 million is likely to do with appearances, etc., etc., and 20 million is probably to do with like if they make Champions League, if they make if they win a title, etc., etc. That is probably everything else. But I genuinely could not believe it. Manchester United historically have not been able to do that, to sell people, but I thought that was only an issue with with non-senior players, i.e. academy products. This is what happens when you buy an asset, guys, that you have no intention to use. And it just depreciates until you have no value for it. This is a prime example of the previous regime or the previous people in those places that were making the decisions. This is a prime example of their biggest fuck-ups, excuse my language, but this is a prime example of the biggest issues that they had, which was signing players that made no sense, that they had no plan for, that the manager didn't ask for, that they just felt we have to make a signing because that was it. Donny Van de Beek came in that window where no one else came. And they just felt like they had to make a signing for a stupid price with no plan for him, no expectations, multiple failed loan spells, to then sell him for 500k. That is possibly the biggest loss on an asset that I've seen at Manchester United. And I've seen players leave for free. I've seen people leave for free that we bought for big price tags. I've seen United buy players for big price tags and then sell them for a loss, essentially. I've seen Paul Pogba come for near enough to 100 million and leave on a free, but somehow to me, this is a bigger loss on asset because he came in, I think it was near enough, I think it was around 40 million. Let me double check. Let me double check what United bought him for. Because this is actually makes no sense to me. Oh, United only bought him for, United bought him for 44 million euros or 39 million euros. Pogba is the biggest loss by far. He left us for free twice, but we got more out of that asset than we did for Donny Van de Beek. Let's be honest. I know a lot of people feel like Pogba failed at United, but we got more out of that asset than we did for Donny Van de Beek. For me, Donny Van de Beek is always one of those players that I don't understand why United brought him. And I just, like I said, it's the biggest fuck up that the other regime did when they just brought someone for the sake of buying him. Many people convinced me that United could sell him for 10, 15, 20 million. And I always said, no way. I said, no way. But I did not think 500k would be the price that we sell him for. I never ever thought that. Genuinely, I didn't think that would be possible. Iqbal is laughing his ass off. You see, last year, everyone was going crazy about the price tags for people like Zidane Iqbal, Ethan Laird. But yet somehow this guy is priced in the same range as them. Ethan Laird went for more than him, guys. Ethan Laird went for at least near enough, I think, to $1 million, which even then I thought that was a joke. He went for 750k to Birmingham City. 750k to Birmingham City, having barely ever played for Manchester United's first team. Multiple loan spells, and he still went for more. Of course, United, I think this is where the footballing minds come in because they put in a package. They created a package with some of it being achievable and some of it probably high hopes. But again, to me, this is just ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And when we talk about the players that United have brought in historic years, Amad Diallo is set to begin contract talks with Manchester United. Yes, you heard it here first. You didn't hear it first, guys, because I saw it on the news today. But Amad Diallo is set to open contract talks with Manchester United. Just joined a new agency, same agent as Alejandro Garnacho. And he's also, his contract will be ending next year. So it's either United open new contract talks with him and agree terms and then eventually sell him at a later date, or United lose him for free next summer. Quite a few players will be free agents for Man United next summer, so we can anticipate quite a few contract talks happening. He's happy with his role, reportedly, at Manchester United. And also, this was reported a couple of weeks ago, he is part of the plans for Erik ten Hag. He is part of the plans in the squad, maybe not as a consistent first team player or consistent starter, but he is in the squad plans for Manchester United. So if he's opening talks with Man United and willing to sit down for a new contract, that clearly shows that he wants to stay. And I think he's kind of shared that sentiment quite often. And last but not least, when it comes to potential incomings or people that United are interested in, I couldn't believe it when I saw this. I actually couldn't believe it. Chelsea left back Ben Chilwell is among one of the options that Manchester United are looking at for competition for Luke Shaw. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is, guys. Honestly, I don't know what this is. I see Arsenal signing Calafiori or going for him, and he's interested in joining. Then I see United linked to Ben Chilwell. Like, let's be for real, guys. Honestly, whoever put this news out there, if it's his agent putting it out there, if it's someone, please just take it back. Take it back, because I'll be damned if I ever feel happy with Manchester United signing Ben Chilwell. And that's no disrespect to him. I just think that there's other options out there for Manchester United. And Man United need to look a bit further away from the Premier League. If I would take a left back from the Premier League, I'll show you lot who it would be. But it would not be this guy. It would absolutely not be Ben Chilwell. I would take this guy at Manchester United. I would take Ait-Nouri at Manchester United. But absolutely, over my dead body, would I take Ben Chilwell? Absolutely not. And I'm not... Listen, guys, take the news with a pinch of salt. Because where is this coming from? This is coming from Sammy Mokbel from the Daily Mail. So I'm going to take it with a pinch of salt. And you lot take it with a pinch of salt as well. I'm just here to share the news of what I saw, guys. That's all. I'm not saying it's factual. I'm not saying it's 100% hack. And I'm not saying that it's 100% lies. But take it with a pinch of salt. If I was to take any left back at Manchester United, it would be this guy. Big up to MA in the chat. It's been a long time, and I hope you are doing well. Tyreek Mitchell, another left back I would take. Another left back. Shout out to Tyreek Mitchell, man. He's from NJ. I know his agent, funnily enough. His agent is a Somali guy that I grew up with. So big up to him. Big up to him. But I would absolutely take Tyreek Mitchell. I would take Ait-Nouri. I would not take Ben Chilwell. But that is that. You don't know what it is, man. Listen, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. A lot of talk here. Like I said, when the Zirkzee news is official, we will be here. We will be here to talk about it kind of in breakdown, in detail, like we ain't already done it in detail today. When the Mateus de Ligt talk kind of ramps up, we'll talk about that, Ugarte, and any other kind of transfer news. Today is a busy day of streams. I will be live on Saeed's channel. Oh shit, I'm late. I will be live on Saeed's channel straight after this. Don't go anywhere. It will redirect you there, and then we'll be live an hour and a bit later for the full view. It's been a minute since I've been on the full view on United View, so I hope to catch a lot of you lot there. But as always, we'll be back tomorrow before the Spain and France game for all Manchester United news tomorrow, man. You lot know what it is. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. Big up to everyone locked in. You lot know what it is, man. As always, it's your girl Minna. Don't go anywhere, because this is going to take you to where I'm going. I'm out, man. Peace.